Welcome to Married to Portuguese. On each episode, my English-Irish husband, Bob, and I discuss and laugh about our life and adventures in the Portuguese culture.
Bom dia.
Bom dia. We were sitting here, we just finished filming the previous
Mhm.
podcast, and we started talking about, well, I got emotional in the previous one, and I was telling Bob, I'm so sorry. I said I didn't mean to. This podcast is supposed to be uplifting and fun and all that stuff, and I started crying. But I was thinking about my dad, and when that happens, sometimes it just happens. But then we started talking about death.
Which is the topic we planned for this ahead of time. Before we get into recording the last one, you're thinking about your dad.
So I know, so I don't want to think about that part. No, and but why did we start thinking about that or talking about it the other day? We were talking about this the other day. I don't know how it came about, but we were talking about how and I think we've mentioned it before somewhere, and how I was raised, we always talked about death. In my family, we always talked about death.
Mhm.
We could be at a party, everyone's laughing and whatever, the whole music, the whole kit and caboodle, and somewhere, somehow, someone's going to talk about death and dying and how they want to go, how it's going to be. What death always came into our conversation. That was it. And I was talking to someone else who is Portuguese too, and she agreed. She said, my family's the same way. We always talk about death. So you would think that when that happens, that we would be better at it all, like expecting you,
More prepared.
more prepared. Yeah, more prepared for
So a
everything.
lot of talk, not a lot of action.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I see. I don't think that's not necessarily a cultural thing. That's probably just a family thing, right?
Yeah.
But at my family, I don't remember us talking about
Right. I had to even said
death
to
and
you.
thing.
I'm like, did you ever talk about it with your family? Like at the table? Literally at the table at dinner time, and all of a sudden, so and so died. Oh, really? And then all of a sudden it would be a whole story about.
Well, I mean, the topic of who passed always comes up, right? Hey,
Yeah.
did you hear what happened to so and so?
Yeah.
That always comes up. It's just how that conversation would evolve.
Oh, yeah. And then it would always come down to, well, when I die, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, or when I die, you need to be prepared because this might be my last year. I got that a lot from my grandmother. This might be my last year.
I know somebody else who started to do that.
Oh, I did.
Uh,
I did. But I didn't say it was my last year. I don't think I said that. Did I say that? I don't think I said that to my daughters. Did I say that, Bob?
Not in those words. Not in those words.
I think I always say, well, one of these days I won't be here. That's pretty much.
You see, that's the lead in. That is the lead in.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am guilty. I am guilty of that. I am guilty.
And you said you would never guilt your kids, but that is a guilt statement.
Is it?
Well, sure.
No, I think I want them to be prepared for that day of when I'm not here.
Well, no, you say it like, we better do this because I don't know when we're going to have another chance. That's the guilt.
Whoa. Yes. Wow. Well,
No, I mean, I think the whole carpe diem thing is great. He
Yeah.
sees the moment.
no, the moment sees the day. Yeah.
When you cushion it around, because I mean,
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I have a whole different way of looking. Oh, I feel like I have a different way of looking at death and the way that I grew up than you did.
mhm.
Because for me, I would go to, the wakes with my mom, but my dad would, bring us with us. Or now that they're gone, sometimes my sisters and I go to certain wakes because they were my family's friends or family or whatever, that you need to continue and whatever. You need to do that. Um, but our wakes and funerals are very different than what you grew up with.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if it's just your family or culturally, your funerals are like Olympic events for mourning. Okay, you've got uniforms. Like everybody's in black.
I never thought of it that way.
Everybody knows the
Let me
script.
tell you, we would win gold medal. We would win the gold medal of that.
Yes, I remember like the first time we went to a funeral together for somebody in your family, and the wailing.
Yeah, the wailing. That's kind of like, oh my God, that hurts. That hurts. Like that wailing is like so visceral.
Yeah, and then the prescribed periods of mourning.
Yes.
Widows are wearing black for like the rest of their life.
Yeah, although that's not the case anymore.
Well, this was
Yeah. Or if it's your father or your mother, it had to be a year at least, and it had to be like this, or it had like you had all of these like rules you had to go by. And you would never go to a wake dressed in flashy colors or any color at all. Um, and then we had a wake and funeral that we went for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when my brain went, "What? Huh?" Yeah. Do you wanna,
No, describe what you.
Oh, okay.
What shocked you?
What shocked me, the laughter, there was no crying, there was no wailing, there was, it was a big party.
Mm.
And everybody and I'm like,
But in a funeral home, I mean, it was
funeral home,
a party with like alcohol.
no, and everybody was like, "Oh, do you remember when he did that? Oh my God, yeah, and everybody would start laughing. Oh, look, and remember, and it was like, oh my, and then people were coming in all sorts of bright colors, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so disrespectful. They should be in like dark, somber colors, and they're coming in and they're like, oh my God. And then it became like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in a while. We should get together. It was like, uh, it was just really great.
Mhm.
It was really great.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, that's when things changed for me on that. And that was like, oh, if I go, I want a party.
Yeah.
I want a party. I want to have everybody who is the people who are important to me in my life. I want them to just celebrate that we had the time we did together
Mhm.
and not be wailing and mourning and doing all that stuff. Um, yeah, no, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, and I mean, look, my family. So that was, uh, it wasn't an immediate family. It was an aunt's mother, right?
Yes.
And she'd lived a full life. I think she late 80s, if not to 90
Yes.
at that point. But
Yeah.
she was Italian,
Yes.
so
And Italians and Portuguese are very much alike, but
yeah. But between that side of the family, which is like English Italian,
yes.
and then my side, English Irish. I mean, it was. I guess we're far enough removed from first generation.
Yes, that's the point right there.
Well, we've just flushed away all conventions, and we're just going
Yeah.
to enjoy something like an Irish wake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've been to other funerals on my side of the family subsequently, and they're not always that raucous, but
For the most part, they are.
oh yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
Our favorites growing up were like in a James Bond movie, and James Bond would kill somebody, and then the pun that James Bond would say afterwards about how he died. Now that's high humor to us.
What do you mean?
You can laugh about tragedy
Well, you can.
and turn it into
You can.
a dad joke.
I guess. But that was to me, that was a big eye opener for like the very first time. That was the very first funeral that I went for your side of the family. And it was. Yeah, and not anything like too sad and somber and all of that. It is all about celebrating their life, which that's the way it should be. I know that's That's the way it should be. I'm
I
I'm
mean,
on that.
we're prepared to, gotta choose my words here. We're prepared to live with it and kind of laugh at it because it's gonna happen to all of us
Yes.
eventually.
Yes.
Not everybody in my family is prepared for it. I've had some family members who won't talk about death at all.
Yeah.
And when they should, and be thinking about planning and how their
Yeah.
children can plan for
Right.
what to do when that day comes.
Yeah.
So it's not like everybody's laughing and having fun with it, by the way. It's just the majority appreciate the fact that we're getting together and it's an awkward time, but we're still happy to see each other under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, yeah. So again, this is not what we had originally planned on talking about, but it kind of just went that way. And the difference between our culture, the way that you were brought up and the way that I was brought up. So, I mean, where I saw yours as being, oh my goodness, that's what I want. I don't want.
And I saw yours and went, oh my goodness, that's not what I want. Who wants to be here?
Yeah, no. It's and of course we're not doing it like my parents. My parents and my family, they all want to be, have the wake and the burial and all of that stuff. Whereas already you and I are like, we're not putting our children through that. We're not doing that. We're getting cremated, hold our ashes together till we're both gone and scatter them together somewhere and
Mhm.
they'll know where to scatter our ashes together. And but it'll be after and I want a party. I want a party to celebrate. So that's how we want it. And you know what? We're telling everybody now. So you know about it too. So what our children know and that's what we want and not the other way around. Because the longing, the missing will always be there, but that whole that whole celebrating of someone's life, I think that's really important. I really do. I really think that's important without going into, that other.
Yeah, I was watching. I remember I was a teenager back in the last century, and I remember people were wearing like a black armband for like a year
Oh,
to show that they were
I remember
that they were in mourning. And I think it's kind of a subtle way. Go ahead, wear what you want to wear, but
Right.
you always have that armband on for a year, right?
Mm. Well, the key thing is I
You could
think
do that for me.
yeah, no, I'm not doing it. And, plus I'm going first.
What is my last request?
Oh my god, you're not gonna request that, no, because it's not you. You're not gonna request that. And in the meantime
Oh, but I have a really good question.
oh, what is that?
Last meal.
Oh my goodness. If I knew I was going, what would be my last meal?
Sure.
Well, what's your last meal? I'm throwing it back at you.
Does it have to be Portuguese food?
No, it could be anything.
Oh, I don't know. A really good cheeseburger would be great.
Mm.
Pizza would be great.
As a last meal?
I love pizza.
Yeah, you do love pizza.
Mm-hmm.
He makes amazing pizza, by the way.
Oh, pake gamsa.
Agumsa. Yeah, you do like that.
Good one.
You do.
But I can eat the whole thing. I'm not worried about the calories at that point, right?
Yeah, no, you're not. That is a good dish. But you went right to Portuguese.
Well, I just wanted to keep, consistent with the brand, but
Huh.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have a cozido.
Really?
Yes. I would have a cozido, which is the boiled dinner, the Portuguese boiled dinner, and with the marsala, with all the sausage, with all of that stuff in there, with some homemade boule de seitan. Oh,
Oh, for an appetizer, what is it? The chichaos? Is that the
shishash,
shishash?
shishash, the fresh horse mackerel that it's deep fried, and you eat it like fish fries. It's like you just head to tail, crunch, crunch, crunch.
Yes.
That would be yummy. Like, for me, it would be the cozido. To me, that dish is very, very special.
Okay, so I'll keep it Portuguese themed. The sisha,
The shisha,
the gusha,
the gumsha. Yeah.
and some red wine.
Mmm. That's yummy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And dessert, it'd have to be rice pudding. I'd have to have rice pudding because that's my favorite. That's true.
Pudding,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And not to be great.
I'd have to.
Both.
Oh, yeah, I guess you could.
Wish you can't have both. I'm not.
Like it's your last meal. You can have whatever the heck you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then some port wine to finish it off.
Oh, nice.
Ready?
Yeah. Or nice Madeira wine.
Oh, sure.
Oof. That would be. Oh, I take it. I know which one I would want for wine for my last.
You want the Czar wine.
I want the Czar wine. I want the Czar wine again. That is the one thing I had in my life that it stopped me in my tracks. Like the sip, and then it was like, what did I just have? Like, this does, like, my brain, it does not compute. It does not compute. What is this kind of thing? And then it was like I was hit by like something amazing. And yeah. And I know I always say that is one of my regrets, is that I did not buy a bottle of that wine. But it is very, it is very costly. It is very costly.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that can afford it, beautiful, do it. And
Yeah, I mean, it's a celebration wine. It's not a table wine.
no. So for a celebration, oh my God, yes.
And what better way to celebrate your life with raisin wine?
Yeah. So, but I have it in my head when we were in Pico, and I'm like, oh, we're going to buy the wine. And then Bob's like, how much is the wine? And I'm like, oh, it's several hundreds of dollars. I mean, he sells, the highest he's ever sold it for, I think was like $7,000 for a bottle. And then you've got different numbers. And so, and he was like, that's a little bit too much right now, blah, 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 blah. And then we were in Fayal, and they had in the Mercado, the market, they have the triangle store, like the store of all, and they were selling some of the Czar wines there. And I'm like, okay, this is the universe telling me that even though I'm no longer in Pico, I can still buy it because I'm here in Fayal and they're selling it here. And you were still like,
Well, to spend that much money, and then we had multiple islands to get to.
I know.
I just did not trust that we were going to get that bottle home safely.
I know.
And how heartbreaking would it be to spend? Well, I get mad when I break a $5 bottle, but you just don't want to break it in a suitcase.
True. But
You spend the ride home sucking the wine out of.
like, oh my God. Because there's some years, like, I think, like, one year he only had like 800 bottles, or one year was like 500 bottles, no more than 1,000.
Or none.
Or none.
Because it didn't meet the quality.
Correct. So this is like a wine that it is beyond incredible.
So that's a great way to end it.
That would be the way to end it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, see you guys. Drink nice Czar wine.
Okay.
That would be the end of my dinner. That would be it.
That's a good way.
That's a good way. Well, we don't want to be too morbid here and talk about death and dying.
No, we're perfectly fine. We're not going anywhere.
No, we're not going anywhere. We have no plans.
We just talk about it. That's all.
See, I've got him into talking about it, and this is it.
Well, I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't matter to me.
All right, guys. I think that's enough. That's enough of talk about death and dying here.
Yes.
Yes, we're done.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we'd love to hear your ideas for topics. Ciao.